Welcome to Fabulosity for you, and my name is Angie. If this is your first time visiting my channel, please click the subscribe button, then click the notification bell so when I upload videos, you'll be the first to know. Like this video and make a comment. This channel is about fashion, relationship advice, and lifestyle. And this is not your first time visiting my channel, well, welcome back, my queens, and welcome to the kings, and welcome to all of my fabulous ones. Today, I am going to be doing a Dear Angie. But before we begin, go get your drink of choice, go get your snack of choice, and come back and sit with your girl, Angie. Text, email, call. You better stick a letter in the bottle, baby, and let everybody know that Angie is on the line. So let's begin this with this letter. I have printed this letter out so that I would not forget anything. So it says, Dear Angie, I am a 41-year-old woman, and I live in Atlanta. I never thought I would be writing to you about this, but I feel like I'm at a crossroads, and I don't know which way to go. I've been with my boyfriend, Mark, for 4 years. We live together, we've built a life together, and in so many ways, he truly feels like my partner. But there's one thing we can't seem to agree on. Marriage. I've always imagined getting married someday, not for the wedding or the dress or the photos, but for the commitment. The feeling of choosing each other publicly and building a family with intention. I want that deeply. And I've been honest about that from the beginning. But every time I try to talk about marriage, Mark shuts down. He says he doesn't believe a piece of paper changes anything and that we're already basically married. He tells me he loves me, he's committed, and he sees a future with me. But anytime I bring up an actual marriage part, he gets uncomfortable or changes the subject. Part of me wonders if I should be patient, but another part of me feels like I'm waiting for something that might not never happen. I don't want to pressure him, but I also don't want to pretend my dream isn't important. I'm worried if I let this go, I'll resent him, and if I push it, I'll lose him. How do I know if this is something we can work through or if we simply want different futures? Signed, Ready for Ever. Okay. So dear Ready for Forever, I want to start by thanking you for writing this letter to me, because when you write in and I answer your letter, we're helping someone else. It's a lot of people out there in this world that's going through the same things that you are going through. And so thank you for subscribing to my channel, and thank you again for writing in. Let me start here. Wanting to get married is not a silly dream, a timeline issue, or an overreaction. It's a core value. And when two people's values don't align, it creates quite an ache. And that gets louder over time. You're not asking for diamonds, a huge wedding, or social approval. You're asking for shared intention. And that is absolutely valid. Let's talk about what's really happening beneath the surface. Number one, when someone loves you but avoids commitment, that avoidance matters. Mark may very well love you deeply. He may truly enjoy the life you've built together. But love and commitment don't always grow at the same time. It doesn't. Some people love the security of a relationship but fear the symbolisms of marriage. Others fear change, vulnerability, or loss of freedom. His feelings are real, but so are yours. Your dream, number two, your dream of marriage isn't a preference. It's life direction. You're not saying, I like a beach wedding. You're saying, this is how I define partnership. This is how I want to build family. This is part of my identity. If one partner wants marriage and the other doesn't, the issue isn't the relationship, it's the vision for the relationship. And that's why I did a video, I believe it was last week, and it was relationship goals. I think it's called Relationship Goals for 2026. It's important to sit down regularly with your mate and discuss relationship goals. If you're meeting them, if you come meeting halfway, it's important to discuss the direction of your relationship. And it doesn't matter how long you've been in a relationship. And so it's the vision for the relationship. Number three, when he says we basically married, he's missing the point. For him, maybe nothing is missing. For you, something is. The difference is important. What feels good enough for him may feel incomplete to you. That doesn't make either of you wrong, but it doesn't make you it does make you mismatched in this area. And to me, I just feel like when somebody says we're basically married, or you're like my wife already, I don't need a piece of paper. A piece of paper is really important, because if something happens and one of you guys, your man or your woman, something happens to them and they die, then guess what? If you're not married in some states, you don't get anything. You don't get a pension. You don't get Social Security. So it's important to have that piece of paper. It really is. Okay. So, number 4, you're not asking for pressure. You are asking for clarity. Instead of pushing him toward marriage, shift the conversations towards understanding. Try this. I need to understand what marriage means to you and why it's something you're resisting. Not to argue you into it, but because I need to know if our visions for the future align. The conversation is not about convincing him. It's about revealing him. Number 5, the most important question isn't, will he marry me? It's, can I live a fulfilled life if marriage never happens? If the answer is no, then staying with someone who won't choose marriage is not love. It's self-abandonment. And you deserve better than that. I'm going to say this. Love alone is not enough. You can love someone deeply and still want fundamental different futures. It happens often more than people admit. Here's the truth to hear that you may need to hear. If you give up something that is core to who you are, just don't keep someone, you will lose yourself in the process. And a relationship where you disappear is not a relationship worth having. So what now? You need an honest, calm, adult conversation, not about marriage, but about compatibility. If he truly sees a future with you, he will be willing to explore the meaning of marriage with you. If he refuses to even talk about it, that's not a communication problem. That's an answer. And the answer is no. Most men that you've been living with and you guys love each other are not going to just up and say no. And so if they're not saying what you want, what you know you need to hear and act on it, then that's your no. You're not choosing between love and marriage. You're choosing between a compromised version of yourself or a complete version of your life. Choose the version of you that feels whole. Now, I'm also going to say this. And some people are not going to like what I'm saying. Before, and I've said this in some videos, okay? You guys need to go back. I've done 500 videos. Go back on the playlist and just play out my relationship topics. My dear Angies, okay? So if anybody going through stuff, and a lot of people go through stuff, just sit back and listen. But I'm going to say it again. If you want to marry someone, before they move into your home, you need to ask them, am I somebody you're going to marry? Am I somebody you want to marry? And if the answer is yes, then you need to lay down the laws. And this is not making somebody do something, because you can't make nobody do something unless you got a gun to their head, you know. You need to say, listen, we need to have a timeline. And that's what you call relationship goals. We need to have a timeline on when I'm going to get the ring and when we're going to be married. And you have to let that person know that if this does not happen within this timeline, that we're going to sit down and talk about. And that's, as I said, making relationship goals. Then you're going to have to leave. Because this is what I want. I'm not going to spend years and years and years with somebody and they don't want to marry me. Now, you mentioned that Mark, you and Mark have been living together for 4 years. That's a long time. Long time, my queen. Living with somebody and don't have a commitment. And some people feel like the commitment is, I moved in with you. No, that's not good enough. Not when you want marriage. And I hate to go back to our grandmothers, our grandmothers, because some of these grandmothers are really young out here. But why should he buy the cow when he already getting the milk? If you're going to act like a wife and do everything a wife do, or do everything a wife does, then you need to have a ring on your finger. You need to be married. Because if you're good enough to lay down every night in the bed with this man, cleaning his underwear, cooking his food, and for some people being a mother to his children, then why aren't you not good enough to have his last name? In 2026, my queens, let's not play no games with people. Let's not play no games with our men. And you mentioned in this letter that you think you might lose him if you push him. Well, let me tell you something, my queen. If you're going to lose this man because you want to be a married woman, then you're going to have to make some decisions. Because if this man love you like he said he love you, then why would he leave you because you want his last name? Why would he leave you when you want to be his wife? No. Put yourself first in 2026. And let me tell you something, another saying that's true. If you let somebody go and they come back to you, then they was meant for you. If you let somebody go and they don't come back, they was not meant for you. In 2026, my queens out there, we have to let go and let God. We have to let go and let God. You can't meet your husband with somebody that's your Mr. Wrong. You can't do that. Now, you didn't mention if this man has been married before, because sometimes men who have been married before, they done gave up a house, they done gave out money, some of them, they had to give up their cars, and they had to start all over again because they had to go through a divorce. And when you go through stuff like that, some people really don't want to get married. They don't want to do it. But even if that's the case, he can't sit up and take his issues out on you. You was not that ex-wife. You sitting up being a good woman to him. And so whatever his issues are not your issues. If this is what you want to do in life and you want to be a wife, then I'm sorry. You have to sit up and you have to have that conversation and you have to be willing to move on. And so you have to really plan. If you decide this is not what you want to do, plan. Because some people, it's finances. They stay with people. It could be the man's house they living in, and you have to plan on how you're going to move. But when you tell this man, hey, if you don't want to be married to me, or you don't want to be married, I have to move on. Don't throw out threats that your behind can't cash. Because once you backpedal, if he say, well, okay, I'm going to leave. Once you backpedal, he's not going to never believe you when you say, I'm going to leave. He's going to not be scared of you leaving. And that's the thing. The question should be, can he live without you? Do he want to live without you? Now, we all can move on in life, but when you love somebody like that, when you love that person, you want to do what you have to do to be with them. And if he don't want to do what he has to do to be with you, then that's something you need to think about. And so, this is one of my favorite topics to talk about. I thank you for writing in this letter. And I think that you deserve marriage. And sometimes we can be with somebody for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and 10 years. And this might not be the person for you. And so, and like I said, compatibility, different focuses in life. That's why I say it again. It's important to have relationship goals so that you don't have to be wondering, is he really going to marry me? You set a deadline that you both agree on. If he does not fulfill what you guys agree on, then you probably need to move on to somebody that has the same type of wants that you have. That's all I have. That's all I got. Stay in peace and not in pieces. And thank you for watching my channel.